Welcome to the Raising Confident Girls podcast, your guide to raising strong, confident daughters. I'm Melissa Jones, the founder of Girls Positivity Club and a teacher for over 20 years. In a world where girls often feel overwhelmed, anxious, and confused, this podcast is your go-to space. As caregivers, we navigate challenges together. I founded Girls Positivity Club to provide a place where you belong and get the tools to face today's hurdles. Consider this your regular check-in with a trusted friend, offering insights and practical tips for meaningful conversations. I'm here to help you feel confident on this journey of raising a generation of empowered girls. Let's dive in and raise those confident girls together. Hey everybody, it's Melissa and welcome back to Raising Confident Girls. Whether this is your very first time being with me or you've listened many times, I'm really glad you're here. And today we're talking about something that I see all the time in Girls Positivity Club, and honestly, something that hits our girls even harder this time of year. Friendship closeness and friendship distance. That feeling of she's talking to her more than me. Or we used to sit together every day, now she barely looks at me. Or she's acting different. Did I do something? Why don't I feel close to anyone right now? And sometimes girls just feel left out, but more often they just feel out of sync. And that can feel just as painful. Friendships shift a lot right before winter break. Routines change, groups wobble, kids are tired, emotions are high, and our girls often internalize every shift being about them. And so today I'm going to walk you through how to help her understand what's happening, what to say that truly helps, and how to guide her toward the kind of friendships that feel safe and steady. Before we jump into the 4 tools, I want to remind you of something really important that we're doing in December. And that is we are really focusing on raising scholarships for girls who would love to be in a Girls Positivity Club, but financially can't. And so sponsoring a girl gives her 8 weeks of confidence building tools for friendships, a positive community, a place to belong, just a fun place to be. And I believe that every girl deserves this. And sometimes there are finances that can get in the way of that. And when you donate, whether it's $1 or whether it's 100 or whatever amount feels comfortable for you, every little bit adds up to helping a girl grow in her confidence, self-belonging, and just feeling good being in a positive space. So if this speaks to you and you like to give back during the holidays, especially, we raise funds for scholarships all year round, but we specifically really try to get a lot of scholarships and girls help that need it most during the holidays, because this can be a time of year where girls need extra support. And especially in going into the new year, we want to make sure that they're set up to start their new year in a really positive way. And so if this speaks to your heart and you'd love to help, please go to girlspositivityclub.org and you can click on the donate button and check out all the ways that you can donate to help sponsor a girl, because you never know whose life you can really change. I've seen it firsthand where girls who have gotten scholarships, like they really thrive in the club and they really value it. So if it is a call on your heart, it would mean the world if you check it out at girlspositivityclub.org. And I thank you in advance for all of your generosity. So let's dive in with a little story that's going to really focus on just this bridge of how to help your daughter navigating friendship closeness and friendship distance without taking it personally. And I know it's a really hard thing to do, but in one of my Girls Positivity Club sessions, we started our circle of yays, and one sweet girl who is very quiet really froze when it was her turn. And I've seen this before, especially when we do it in small groups or in big groups. They just feel all of the eyes on them, whether it's a group of 25 or whether it's a group of 6. And sometimes they freeze. And so we always give them something that they can say instead. Like we always give them kind of an out phrase that they can say. But she really just tugged at her sleeves and said, I don't really have anything. And so no one was judging her. No one was whispering. No one was rolling their eyes. But you could see her thoughts that were racing. And I bet she was thinking like everyone else knows what to say. And why don't I know what to say? Do I even fit here? And so she actually wasn't left out, but she just felt out of place and in that moment because she wasn't sure what to say. And so I helped her out and just, gave her a phrase to pick from that she could say, but you could just tell it bothered her. And my goal with any of the girls in our clubs is to help them gain confidence and to know it is a safe space. And she might just need a little bit of time with that. And you never know what kind of relationships and friendships that girls have had along the way. So girls can often interpret that feeling of being out of place as something might be wrong with me or it must be wrong with me, which brings us to the first tool. And that is to separate the moment from her identity. When a friendship starts to feel distant, even for one day, girls jump quickly to, she doesn't like me anymore. I must have done something. She doesn't like her as much as she likes me. I'm the problem. And so your job is to help her separate the moment from who she is. And so you can say, this moment doesn't define you. One shift doesn't change your whole friendship story. You're still kind, fun, thoughtful, and someone people want to be around. And then add evidence because girls anchor deeply to proof. Remember how Maya put her head on your shoulder last week? Your cousin lights up every time she sees you. Your teacher told me that you make everybody else feel welcome. Or your teacher told me this, like something positive. So, why this matters is you're using evidence in her life to remind her. And so it helps her brain disconnect the story she's creating about what that distance actually means. And so now, once her identity feels protected, she can look more clearly at what's happening. And that leads us to something really important. Tool number 2, help her identify what's actually bothering her. So before we help her problem solve, she needs to now understand what part hurt. And so you can guide her with questions like, was it something she did or something she didn't do? Or was it the way she said something? Or was it the way that she didn't say anything? Was it the closeness that she misses, or was it predictability? So most girls don't know how to name the real pain, so everything gets lumped together. Here are these common root hurts that you can help her discover. The first one is, I feel replaced. This happens a lot when there's a new kid in class or they're in a new environment with a person that they're really comfortable with, but that person starts branching out and meeting other people. Or I feel like she's closer to them than to me. And this can happen when there's a different interest or when some friendships are just getting closer, and that's okay. It can be that she feels invisible. And maybe I heard this from a girl last week where she's in high school, a freshman, and she said, they invite me to sit with them, but then they don't talk to me. They just talk to each other. And I just sit there and I feel kind of foolish. Like I feel like I'm just sitting there for no reason. If they're not going to talk to me, why do they invite me? And why do I even want to sit there? And so that is an invisible example. And then I feel unsure of where I stand. So maybe those people that she is trying to be friends with or has been friends with, it's one way one day and a different way another day. And so it's not very predictable at all. And then this can happen with old friendships of someone she's been friends with a long time. I miss how it used to be. And I heard this from another girl this week where she was like, I used to be really close with this one friend and we did everything together. We did this and that. And now something's changed. Like there's something in her life that's changed and she's just not the same. And I really miss our old friendship. And so naming the pain helps it feel more manageable, not overwhelming. And so this is an example from a teenager that I was talking to recently who said, I don't think my best friend likes me anymore, likes me in the same way. And I said, well, what happened? And she said, well, she sent me a short text. That's it. It was just really short. And that didn't seem right to me. And so her whole world was spiraling because her friend had used fewer words or fewer emojis. But later, she found out that her friend said that she was studying for 2 exams and she felt exhausted and she just didn't quite feel like her usual bubbly self. And so they can immediately make it this big thing where they think their friendship's over and they don't necessarily know what's going on the other side. And so it had nothing to do with her. It actually had to do with the girl who was trying to juggle the studying and she just felt exhausted and overwhelmed. Now, it's important that girls in friendships communicate this with each other and they're not afraid to ask each other what's going on. And so this is what girls do. Like they fill in the silence sometimes with self-blame. Like, oh, I must have done something wrong. I hope she's not mad at me. And my mom even did this week. She said, I haven't heard from my friend. I hope she's not mad at me. And I was like, Mom, why would she be mad at you? Like, you guys talk all the time. She's like, well, she usually calls me in the morning and we talk about our days and things like that. And I said, well, maybe she was just busy or maybe something else came up. And so she even right away as a grown woman started to think something negative. And it was like, that's not always the case. Like we have to find out what's going on the other side. There's no reason she would be mad. And so when you help her name what part actually stung, you take away the fog that she's trapped in. And now that she knows what hurt, she can take a gentle, empowered step forward. And this is where things really begin to shift. So the third tool is to teach her healthy check-in phrases without chasing. So girls will often think, I can't say anything or I'll look desperate, or I don't want to make it weird if I say something, or if I don't say anything, I'll lose her. And so what we want to teach is communication, not chasing, clarity, not overthinking. And here are some safe, low pressure check-in phrases that she can use with her friends. So at the younger ages, like 9 and under, and again, you can mix and match these with what fits with your daughter. Do you still want to sit with me today? I liked playing with you yesterday. Do you want to do this today? So those are check-in phrases that she can use at the younger ages. For ages 10 to 13, you can say, hey, are we good? You seemed a little quieter today. Something very simple like that. And her having the bravery to actually say it is the biggest part. Hey, just checking in. Is everything okay between us? That's something really easy. And she can do it in her own way, but just checking in like is an easy way. Or, hey, are we good? Like that's a very easy bridge sentence to start. And then as they're getting older into that 14 to 18 age, it's, hey, I noticed we haven't talked much. I'm here if you need space or if you want to talk. So it's just like giving the option to the friend or, hey, I wanted to check in. I really, value you as a friend and just want to make sure we're good. And that can sound more like teen language. Like that sounds a little bit formal, but you can just be like, they can say something like, hey, just wanted to check in, make sure we're good. Haven't heard from you today. And that's it. And so it's just giving her really easy ways to check in. And especially in that teenage, they seem to think it's safer. I mean, obviously face-to-face is ideal, but they seem to think it's safer to text it or to talk like FaceTime and say that or something. Texting is like the easiest for them because it doesn't feel as in your face or front facing. What not to send. So these are some things that they shouldn't do in their texting is long paragraphs, or these could even be like things to say, really long speeches about it, or did I do something wrong? Or why don't you like me anymore? Like saying things like that. I would hear girls even say that. And the girls were like, wait, what? We do like you. And so then the other friend who was hurt would storm off and it would create this whole thing. And so double texting like back to back, or apologizing for existing, like, sorry for bothering you. Or like even saying this in person, if it's a face-to-face, like and they're younger, like, sorry to want to hang out with you. Like those are things that can often start some conflict that's unnecessary when you don't know the full story, or trying to fix the whole friendship in one conversation or one message. So a healthy guideline, especially if they're texting, is if the message is longer than 3 lines, it's too long. That should be more of a face-to-face conversation. Or if a friend doesn't respond, you can say a slow reply doesn't mean that she's not interested or that she's not going to respond. It just means that she's doing something else, or she's distracted, or she's at practice. And so you can add, or maybe she doesn't know what to say or how to react. Let's give her some space. You reached out in a really brave way, and that's enough for today. So whether this is texting if they're in their teen age, or you feel like they're old enough to handle, doing that kind of messaging, it's really just teaching them how to use it properly and how to use it in an engaging and empowering way, to engage them in a conversation that might be a little bit harder to say out loud. But again, if you can do face-to-face, or they can do face-to-face, if they feel brave enough to do that, that's oftentimes the best. But sometimes, again, with that teen age, they feel a little bit safer if they text it in that way. But it's just teaching them how to do it in a way that's not like self-blaming or catastrophizing or sending these long paragraphs. And so what you want to avoid is explaining the other girl's behavior too soon. So you don't want to say what you think is happening because you really don't know. And they also can't do that because they may not know. So if you say things like, this is something to avoid to say, because this is something oftentimes that you'll say just to kind of tie them over until they find out what's happening, or soothe them until they find out what's really happening. Oh, she's probably just busy. Or I'm sure it wasn't personal. Or even if you're right, girls often will hear this, you're overreacting. So even if you say she's probably just busy, or I'm sure it wasn't personal, even if you are correct that those are the cases, they hear it as that they're overreacting or they're making something out of nothing. And so instead, you can say, I get why that feels confusing. It makes sense that you'd wonder, and then move on to connection. So now she understands the moment, her feelings, and her next step. There's one more piece that will bring it all together, and that's tool number 4, which is help her find a steady friend. So friendships don't need to be perfect, like I've talked about in other episodes too. Sometimes they can be messy, but they do need to be safe and steady. So help her notice who makes her feel lighter, or who listens when she talks, or who checks in on her, or who feels easy to be around. And a steady friend might not be the most outgoing, the most popular, or the most talkative, but they're the ones whose presence feels calm and consistent. And you can say you don't need a big group. You only need one steady person to feel grounded. Or you just need to find the people, like it's good for you to find the people that make you feel really good to be around them. And this helps her recenter instead of clinging to friendships that are wobbling and maybe aren't as good for her. And so what you want to watch for is these quiet behaviors that can often mean she's feeling distance. So coming home quieter than usual, shrugging when you ask about her day, extra tired or easily irritated at the end of a day, or at the beginning of a day. Even sometimes they wake up that way, saying, I don't know, more often, or withdrawing from people that she normally feels safe with. And so these aren't attitude problems, they're connecting problems or connection problems. And your calm presence will help her regulate. So if your daughter has been feeling that weird mix of closeness and distance in friendships lately, here's what I want you to remember. You can help her separate the moment from her identity. You can help her name what actually hurt. You can give her small, brave ways to check in. You can guide her towards steady friends, not unpredictable ones. And friendship closeness and distance is normal, especially right before winter break. And it does not mean she's losing people. She's learning how to navigate real relationships. And she's figuring out who feels safe while she's discovering who she is. And she's not doing it alone because she has you. Thank you for listening today. If this episode helped you, please send it to another parent who might need it too. You're doing such a good job, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining another empowering episode of the Raising Confident Girls podcast. Share today's insights with caregivers and friends, building beautiful relationships with strong girls. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're not just a podcast, we're a community. Follow Girls Positivity Club on social media for more empowering content on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. This podcast empowers you, supporting incredible girls. Let's create strong, beautiful relationships with the girls in our lives. I appreciate you listening today. Stay confident, stay connected. Until next time, keep raising those confident girls. You've got this.